Recording time. Welcome to the second episode of my series, Serve. If this is your first time here, Serve is my mini-series where I will be showing you guys some of my favorite recipes, foods, and techniques to prepare food. Before we actually get started with our recipe, I have to run to the store to grab some ingredients because I technically could make our cookies with everything I have at home, but I think I've seen this baking powder in our pantry for the last 5 years, and when the expiration date starts to actually decay itself, that's not a very good sign that it's nice and fresh. So yeah, before we start cooking, I gotta run to the store, so we're gonna go do that. I forgot my bike lock, as always, and I really don't feel like putting it in front of the public, so I'm behind it next to this lake, and it'll do the job. We're making those cookies, bro. I don't care. We're making the cookies. All right, is my bike still there? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes.
Antoine, where's your crank, bro? How are you gonna get home?
Oh my days, bro.
This is sketchy.
This thing loves to fall off. So since it was already coming off, I was like, let me just fully take it off. That way, if someone tries to steal it, they literally can't. So for this video, I figured I'll go ahead and do a voiceover just to see how it would work. I watched a lot of cooking videos where, you know, it was just mainly voiceovers, so I want to go ahead and try it myself. I also thought it would save me a lot of time having to redo takes and, you know, have to do everything on the spot. I could just go ahead and do the voiceover afterwards. So I'm showing y'all everything that we have. First, some unsalted butter, then some dark chocolate. I'll talk about that one later. And then white sugar and brown sugar. It really doesn't matter much. Brown sugar is kind of just white sugar with molasses. So if you have both types, go ahead and use both types. Some all-purpose flour and 1 egg. I do have a kitchen scale, but I don't know why it doesn't work, so I'm using my dad's old postage scale. So once we zero out the bowl, we're going to go ahead and add 115 grams of unsalted butter. Originally, it's read 110, but then when I re-looked at it, it said 115. So I said, okay, well, I guess 1 stick of butter is 115 grams exactly. After we measure out the butter, we're going to add it to our pot and put it over low to medium heat for around 5 to 6 minutes in order to brown it. This will add, I guess, like a richer flavor, a more nuttier, complex flavor. I'm not a baker, so don't ask me why we do this. I just know you're meant to do it. Also, we need the butter to be room temperature, so you could just let it sit. You don't have to be extra like me and cool it with ice underneath, but I did it just to save some time. As you can see, that butter was like a golden brown, not just like a light yellow. It's definitely a lot darker than what we started with. So mixing thoroughly to make sure that nothing solidifies too much on the bottom near the ice. We have some room temperature brown butter. We're now going to measure out 1/2 cup of our white sugar and 3/4 cups of brown sugar. After adding both sugars, go ahead and mix till smoothly combined. It should have the texture of wet sand, I guess. Next, add your egg. Obviously I'm a chef, so you know I can crack it with one hand. And I got a shell in it. Okay. Once you fish out your embarrassing broken shell with clean fingers, of course, now we're just going to add a splash of vanilla extract, give it a good whiff, and obviously pour too much. Don't be like me and measure in a spoon. Now, after mixing for about 30 seconds, we have a texture of mucusy sand, I guess. And remember how I was gonna say we're gonna talk about that baking powder later. This should be a good time to rewatch that cookie recipe and realize she said baking soda and not powder.
Give that another stir, then add your flour and baking soda. Baking soda. Then gently fold that in.
Oh my gosh, that says baking soda.
I don't have baking soda. What? After some thorough, exaggerated screaming, go ahead and speed bike to your nearest Walgreens to pick up some baking soda. Trying your hardest to not destroy the entire kitchen, take your premature dough that was not supposed to be refrigerated out of the refrigerator and go ahead and sift in 1 1/4 cup all-purpose flour with half a teaspoon of baking soda, not powder, soda, not powder, soda, not powder. Gently fold to combine to make sure not to overmix the dough. Next, we're going to be chunking our chocolate. Get your chocolate of choice. I chose the 70% dark chocolate just because I didn't want the whole cookie to be too sweet. And chop it up into decent chunks, not too small that it's just gonna evaporate in the cookie, but not too big that it's just gonna piss out everywhere in the oven. Now, after attempting to mix your dough with inferior tools, go ahead and add all of your chocolate and remix it.
I'm gonna
And now hear me when I say this next step is very important. Make sure to not eat the raw cookie dough. It contains raw egg and you do not want to be getting sick, and I just put it in my mouth and it tasted good. Pause. After adding all of the ingredients, you can see that I'm showing off the finished dough, but you can also see the Nesquik peeking on the right side of the screen. I didn't somehow record me adding a pinch of Nesquik powder. That's not in the original recipe, but you guys can go ahead and do that if you want to. So in the recipe that I followed, it said that the cookies should take like 12 to 14 minutes. These hoes took at minimum half an hour, and I think I ended up overcooking them anyway because they were mad crunchy. It wasn't the most spectacular cookie I've ever had, but it definitely was one that I suffered for. It was fun though. I spent the whole day making this cookie just because I saw the recipe, and it's just really the idea that I had for Christmas Eve. I haven't made cookies since I was probably 8 years old, living in a different living in my old apartment, and with my mom just making pre-made cookies. So to make this whole recipe myself and kind of just show y'all the process, it was kind of interesting for me. So yeah, even though the cookies weren't exactly how I wanted them to be, it was still really fun. So yeah, I know I said I would make these videos every Saturday, but like I said, this was just my Christmas Eve idea to make cookies the night before Christmas. So just a little traditional video. But yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe, and if not, I will give you a reason to tomorrow. Merry Christmas.